Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a late night live with Joseph Decker. We've not done a show in a little bit of time. We're actually out of state right now in Missouri. Been touring and watching Link Academy's basketball practice. It's been going really well. Big thanks to Coach Chad Myers, as always, for allowing me to come out. On our way down, I believe it was Monday evening, we stopped by SEMO's practice, and they got a lot of talent. Let me say that. The Red Hawks and Coach Reynolds does a great job of recruiting the state of Kentucky. There's countless kids in the state with offers right now from SEMO. So kind of being able to go down there and get to kind of be a part of that experience, see what a lot of these kids are taking their talents to SEMO. Their program, their facilities, the coach makes them special. I believe it or not, they're actually the favorite to many sources to win the OVC. So there's a lot of talent there. Very athletic. They're well coached. It was a good practice. Sometimes there's D1 practices that might get a little sloppy here in the middle. Things might not be as fun, fall off a little bit. But SEMO, it was engaged the whole time. They're 4-on-4, they're 5-on-5, their drill works. Everything was entertaining and fun to watch, and that's always something that I really like to see. And you could tell the guys were getting better and really challenging themselves. They got a few transfers in that's going to make that team special. And, there's sometimes when you look at more of the low majors, low major D1, schools, low mid majors, that they don't have a lot of size, but there's multiple guys 6'10", 6'11", a part of the rest roster, and they have a true shot of making the tournament this year. Last year they actually made I believe they're in the OVC championship game, and they lost to a buzzer beater. They had won the OVC that year, so it was just kind of a heartbreak, kind of last second loss, but really good to be in there with Coach Reynolds. He's a third region native, so it's always fun to see him and chat with him, and I really appreciate him for letting me swing by. But tonight's going to be a pretty fun show. Every month or two we take that risk and we do a late night show, see how it's going to go. I know with it being spring break and a big majority of Kentucky, it's able for a lot of people to tune in. I know there's some schools, obviously, including Montez, who isn't on spring break right now, so their people might be asleep right now, but I know a majority of Kentucky's on spring break right now, so some people's got things to do. Some people's chilling in their hotel rooms. Some people's just kind of patiently waiting for it over. They wish they were on vacation. They're not, so they're a little upset. So I just knew tonight would be a good opportunity to get two guys on to talk all things Kentucky high school basketball. We haven't had Gavin on the show in a long time now. It was right when he was coming home from Victory Rock. Wasn't sure what he was going to do for the season leading into Midwest basketball play. So it's going to be good to talk to Gavin. He's had some things kind of change. His situation's a little different now, so it'll be fun to talk to him. Gavin's going to be somebody we'll definitely have on the show again during the year, especially when we get Coach Josh Pittman on here, new head coach at Caverna, to talk to him. I actually just got off the phone with him to tell him that Gavin's going to be on tonight. But I won't hold you guys any longer. I know you guys are excited to see our guest, hear me talk to some people. Our first guest tonight, like I said, is Montez Gay. He's a consensus top 2, top 3 ranked. Prep Hoops has him ranked number 1 player in the 2027 class in Kentucky. He holds 4 Division I offers. He's actually coming off a big time, I think it was 2 weekends in Nashville at the Paul Biancardi camp. He was named a top performer, all-star, had a really good showing there in front of Paul Biancardi, who does all the ESPN rankings. So, going to an event like that, putting on his big time, he's going to be an early favorite for 10th Region Player of the Year. I know there's a lot of people, there's some side services that don't like to give it to someone that's not a senior, but, overall player, I think it's going to be pretty hard to find somebody who's going to beat out Montez. There's a lot of talent in that region, though. Tice Jarvis, Andrew Terry, Malachi Ashford, Ryder Atkins, guys who's on his team, Austin Davey up at Campbell County. So it's definitely not going to be easy, but Montez is not one of those guys who's going to just necessarily go out there and put up the most insane stats you've seen. He's a great player at filling up things besides the box score at times. Great defender, really good rebounder, all-around great player. I wish we had Coach Cook on here. Last time we had him on here, all he had to do good things. But let's welcome Montez Gay onto the show tonight, man. Montez, what's up, man? How have you been?
What's up, man? I've been good, bro. Just hooping.
Well, it's good to talk to you. I'm good, man. It's good to get you on here. I know I'm kind of hurting your schedule. I think it just turned 11 o'clock for you, so come on here late. But once again, I appreciate you coming on. Montez, I want to talk a little bit. I want to go too back in time, but I want to talk about summer ball a little bit. I know it was a pretty productive summer for you, especially with Griffin Elite. I know you were I can't remember I know you were on a top team for the UA Rice circuit. Love over there, averaged double-digit points, shot over 50% from 3, which is something I want to talk about a little bit, but kind of talk about your summer with Griffin Elite and how the feedback has been since then, college coaches reaching out, kind of getting some national respect. How was this summer for you with Griffin Elite?
I think it was good, honestly. I'm really proud of how I did this year. Me and Malachi, he played with me, Mari, my high school teammates. So overall, I think we did really good as a team together. And plus, like since we all play together, we like built that chemistry, so that was good for us. But recruitment wise, like yeah, I think I showed out and did my thing in Georgia, and I think it was Chicago. Yeah, Georgia and Chicago. That's where I think I played the best. So yeah, I think that really help my exposure a lot. So yeah.
You know, playing in Kentucky, sometimes your game can be a little limited, having to slow down and maybe play the 4 or the 5, having to kind of take the role of a big man at times. But with AAU, you're able to show guard skills, really play the wing. I know there's a lot of times in AAU, especially when you guys had some injuries like Walker Craig, there was times you had to play the 2 guard a lot. And I think that really kind of showcased your game, kind of got to show a little bit of everything. One big thing, like I mentioned, was shooting 50% from 3, having to kind of adjust your game at times, play different roles, play different positions. How easy is that for you in shooting that 50% clip? I know it's kind of a 2-part question. How easy is it for you to kind of adjust, play those different roles, systems, and talk about shooting 50% from 3, man? Or are you one of the more underrated shooters in the state? You can come on here and be honest with me.
Nah, yeah, I definitely feel like shooting is definitely underrated. Just for like me being a tall guard, like and like just being like a physical player, like I feel like I'm very physical, like when it comes to like driving and stuff like that. So the shooting is very underrated and just like really a key part of my game. It opens up everything for me and stuff like that. But um I think shooting 50%, or actually to answer your other question, I think it's real easy for me just to like go back and forth. Like you said, like the speed, like from Kentucky basketball, and then like AAU is way different, and like I have to play different spots. So like me playing the 4, and then like me going to the 2 or whatever in Griffin Elite. So like it's definitely different, but I don't think it's a hard transition because like even though I do like play bigger, I say in Kentucky, like I still get to showcase what I can do. Like I can still dribble the ball, like because GRC. I mean, yeah, like my coach, like he he lets me like rock out a little bit. So like I feel like that's easy for me to like transition because like both coaches for like Steve Q, my coach from Griffin Lee, he lets me rock out as well. So like the positions may be different, but like the feel and how I play is not that much different. So
Yeah. I want to say a big shout out to Steve Q. I'm glad you mentioned him. I know Coach Q is going through a lot of things right now off the floor. I know people's probably been seeing it on social media. I just want to say prayers for him. If you guys could keep coaching your prayers. No, he's going through a time right now. He's an absolute great person, good friend of mine on the floor. If you're a fan of Kentucky high school basketball, you know who Coach Steve Q is. So hoping speedy recoveries for his family and everything going on with him. I just wanted to mention that real quick. But Montez, it's been a pretty eventful summer for GRC. You guys add a new transfer in, 2028 Ryder Atkins, who is one of the top guards and can spite the class. You could put him in any class, and he's right there at the top. But he's also really underrated because, playing out in the 13th region, playing in Corbin, it's already hard enough to get exposure, and they didn't necessarily make an insane region run. They didn't have a lot of success. So sometimes a player can go into it underrated but have a big postseason, which kind of opens things up. We've seen that countless times, but he didn't really have that going for him, but he had a really, really good AAU playing with Tennessee Impact. I know he spent some time with Team Loaded South, so he really got to get his name out there. I think more toward the end of summer, the final live periods is when Ryder Atkins really started to prove just how good he is, and that really opened up a lot of things for him. Montez, kind of tell me how things have been adding a guy like Ryder Atkins to this team, and how impactful is he going to be for you all, not just on a daily basis, but winning games late into the postseason?
yeah, I'm just gonna straight up say it. Like Ryder's cold. Like he's really good and like he's like also a good dude. Like we're real close now and like him coming to GRC was an easy transition and like but like yeah, like he can play make, he can shoot, he shoots really good. He's strong, handle the ball, so he'll definitely help us a lot. But yeah, Ryder's just all around he's a great player. So it should be easy fit for him at GRC, I'd say.
There's on your guys' squad, you bring back a lot of pieces. We talk about adding a guy like Ryder, but you still bring back Malachi Ashford, Jamalin Johnson, who's someone that we have to have you talk about because he's already one of the most underrated players in the state. And I know you're the biggest Jamalin Johnson fan out there. I know you are. So I want you to talk about Jamalin a little bit, but kind of talk about this roster. Amari Bartleson's another name. There were some underrated guys that I wasn't very familiar with who was making a lot of noise in open gym the other day. I'm going to grab my laptop charger. So try to kind of show some love to everybody real quick, Montez. I'm putting you on the spot. Show all the guys some love. Kind of tell me about those other guys that make this team what it is and why you guys are getting that respect of being one of the favorites going into the season.
Man, we got so many dogs. Like you said, Jamal and Johnson. He's like really good, man. He's gotten so much better. He's definitely underrated in the state, in my opinion. I think he's way up there when it comes to talent. I mean, he's a dog. Like I said, Amari Boston. I mean, he's tall, long, shot blocking. He can do everything on the floor, and he's really shooting it well. So he's definitely a big piece. I mean, everybody on our team. I mean, we really got some sleepers, not people that are just known like in the state for real. Like this dude named C.J. Thomas. He's about 6'8", and he's really strong in the scoring. He's gotten way better. He's only a sophomore this year, so yeah, that adds a lot of depth to us. And yeah, I mean, we just got a lot of players that can just go, like I said. But going back to Jamalin though, like you said, I'm a big fan of Jamal. I think he really needs like more recognition on what he does. I mean, he's like a true leader. I mean, he's a natural born leader. I feel like, and just a dog on defense. And I feel like he's kind of like, other than me and Mally, and like he's like a second leader. He's a third leader, honestly. Just one of the leaders on our team.
You can hear me. You hear me?
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Making sure everything was back. I had to put the laptop on charge real quick. You
Yeah.
kind of mentioned the depth with this team. You know, there's so many guys, things, and there's guys who think that might be a negative. You play all these guys, but seeing how things were running, seeing what Coach Cook has kind of talked about, and seeing it looks like that's not going to be a problem. You guys are going to be able to go 9 to 10 man deep on some nights. I know you guys got a tough schedule. Coach Cook has you guys in the Myrtle Beach event, which should be a really good event out in South Carolina. And then you guys obviously are going to play probably a gauntlet schedule for Kentucky teams. But kind of tell me a little bit, Montez, about the 10th region. Last year, I don't know if there was a more close competitive region championship. I know that's something you might not want to talk too much about, but the 10th region between you guys and Montgomery County was very entertaining last season. I know you guys are going to be coming back for vengeance, and I know Montgomery County is going to try to be kind of reigning region champions. How does the 10th region look a little bit outside of you two? I know Campbell County is kind of a sleeper team with Austin Davey, who's one of the more respected 2028s around the state, but do you think it could be a year again of the top two with you guys in Montgomery County? Or maybe is there some other teams that's kind of not getting the recognition they deserve and will give you guys battles at night? Because we know, Montez, when it gets to region and district play, absolutely anything can happen. So kind of talk to me a little bit about the 10th region as a whole.
I think the 10th region is I think it's this year, not knock on any teams, but I feel like it's more weaker than it's been over the couple of years. But there's still a lot of talent. Like Nicholas County is not, it's not talked about as much, but they're still like a good team. Um, like you said, Campbell County with what's his name, Austin Davey. Yeah, he's nice. And then Nicholas County is Braxton Martin, and then I think they have a sophomore point guard. I think he's good. And so there's a lot of talent. I mean, I feel like that's me, our team, GRC, Montgomery, Campbell, and Nicholas are the big four, obviously, for competition in the 10th region. But yeah, it's interesting to see because I mean a lot of people from a lot of teams left, like a lot of seniors. So except I mean we had, let's see, we had Eli Craig from last year. He left, so that like he was a starter, so he was I think he was the only real starter. I think Mattis Campbell played a little bit off the bench, and then Montgomery, they lost Caden Reed, which he was really good. And Luke Fonz isn't playing this year apparently, and so yeah, just it's different though. It's different, I'd say.
No, and I know that's still one that's not really got out there a lot with Luke Fonz not playing. He would be a 2026 this year, so it's kind of shocked a lot of people. But I know he had some things that he kind of decided to step off the basketball floor, pursue some other things. So seeing Luke Fonz leave the region is definitely going to be interesting. He was one of those main key pieces that made Montgomery County what they were last year. And then lose a guy like Caden Reed. And when textbook, the definition of a true point guard, his name's going to pop up. That's what Caden Reed was. So Montgomery County is going to be a different team as well. Kyle Mahorn had came in from Woodford County. He unfortunately tore his ACL. I'm a big Kyle Mahorn fan, so seeing that go down was very sad to me. When you have Tice Jarvis, Andrew Terry, that top two is going to go at and might be one of the best top twos in the state. So they're going to be all right. They're going to be fine. Coach Mays is a very good coach. And I've talked to him and, he's not too worried. So I think the 10th region is going to have some fun moments. I think it's going to be competitive. I do think you all in Montgomery are going to kind of be at the top most of the year. And I know a lot of people's excited to see you guys match up again. Montez, man, I don't want to have you get too deep into things. Not going to make you recruit on here decide. We'll always tell people that. But kind of tell me about your recruiting process so far. You hold 4 Division I offers. I know there's several other schools like Liberty reaching out and some love. How has the recruiting process been far? I know you've took unofficial visits to Louisville. You hold offers from Morehead State, SEMO, EKU. There's one I'm forgetting. I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit. But how has that recruiting process been for you so far? And what are you kind of looking at in your recruiting process? Is it a relationship with the coach, system? What are some things that stand out to you, Montez?
The recruiting process this year is definitely better than I expected. Going into AAU this season, since me deciding to play up 17U, which is a lot better exposure for me playing up, and it helped a lot. And when the deadline passed for when college coaches could contact us, it was good. Like my phone was blowing up, and I didn't expect that. So that was really cool for me to experience that. But yeah, like you said, I've had my 4D1 offers are Akron, SEMO, Morehead State, and EKU, and I kind of keep a close relationship with all those schools. Just like now, like they show up to practices and workouts and stuff like that. And like I said, I keep in contact with other colleges like Liberty, and so it's been pretty good. All the coaches they know what they're doing, and they all seem to have connections like with each other and stuff. So that's pretty. They make it easier for us, you know. So yeah, and but like I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I haven't looked in like much. I haven't really thought about college that much, to be honest. Like I'm just trying to focus on high school because, like you said, we lost the region championship. This is our year, like to come together and like try to really make it out and then make a good run, hopefully. So
that's what I was going to ask you, Montez. I think when you came into, if you look at the 2020 so far, I think you would kind of label GRC as who's been the more dominant team from 2020. Obviously, the last 2 years, you guys haven't made it to the state tournament, and with you guys being such an early powerhouse in the late 2010s, early 20s. I think some people are kind of surprised. They're waiting to see GRC get back. They know how talented you all are, and they kind of know how good of a powerhouse you guys are. You guys are consistently top 5 to 10 team in the state. So it's been 2 years. Campbell County made it 2 years ago, and then last year with Montgomery County. Is that something you guys kind of talk about a lot in the locker room and work toward? When you have a program that was so used to the success and making it to the state tournament, now you've had 2 years without it. How you guys kind of fiending for that this year? How much are you guys kind of working toward that? Is that the ultimate goal, winning region and getting back to the state title and playing at Rupp?
yeah, it's definitely something we talk about every single day. I mean, it motivates us to be better. I mean, we remind ourselves every day that we came up short last year. We came up short the year before that, and to me, I don't think there's no reason why we should have won last year or the year before that. To be honest, of course, my freshman year, which had been 2 years ago, our point guard Malachi Ashford got hurt, which made it hard for us, but we could have still like pulled it together, and that hurt us, to be honest, with him being out. But like I said, like we in practice, we don't use that as an excuse or last year as an excuse. So like we don't say the shot that they hit last year that was lucky. None of that. We just need to be better because we just need to be better and just win. You know what I'm saying? Just win. We got to win. So and just that's where it all starts together.
Well, I think with you coming on here tonight, that shot was complete luck. Tice texting us. I think we can say that Montgomery and GRC is going to be one of the, if not the most must-see rivalries in the state this year. I think everybody's excited to see that game. We got Montez on here saying Caden Reed's shot was all luck. I hope Caden Reed's tuning in. He's definitely upset about it. I hope he's in Midland College right now. I think he's in Colorado right now. I hope he sees that, and I hope he says something to you. But Montez, it's going to be a fun year for you guys up at GRC. There's a lot of talent. Adding a guy like Ryder Atkins just adds even more fire. You talked about it earlier. There's a lot of depth. You lose a guy like Connor Morgeson, which sucks because he was such an efficient shooter, a guy who really helped off the bench. And then you lose Eli Craig, like you mentioned. But you bring in a Division I guard and Ryder Atkins, who's going to pair up beside yourself and Malachi Ashford. So when you have that many ball handlers, you have that many guys who can make plays, it's going to be hard teams to guard every night. The schedule, I know not the players are out for blood this year and ready to get back to the state tournament. I know Coach Josh Cook is, so I think we're probably going to see a pretty vengeful Coach Cook. I think he's not going to say a lot before games, but he's definitely going to be ready to win. So, but Montez, I appreciate you coming on tonight, man. I know it was kind of a late notice. Thanks for talking to us. Enjoy school tomorrow. I know it's a school night for you, but just something fans in. I know a few of y'all's coaches tuned in, and I know there's some guys from the team watching. So just leave us off with something about GRC.
Man, I'll just say I love GRC. Yeah, that's what I don't know what else to say. I love GRC. I love my teammates. I love my coaches. I love I just love everything about it, man. And hopefully, like you said, we can come out strong this year and do better than all the other years so far. So, and the ultimate goal for us is to win it all. So, but yeah, I don't got nothing special to say besides love everybody from GRC. I love everybody from home, man. Yeah.
Good to see Montez getting a little emotional tonight on the podcast, man. It's been an emotional roller coaster. It's been an emotional roller coaster. He's telling everybody he loves him. 5 seconds ago, Caden Reed hit the lucky shot ever. So it was a good interview, Montez. I appreciate you coming on, man. Big thanks to Montez Gay from GRC coming on the show tonight. It was good talking to Montez. Really enjoyed getting to chat with him about everything GRC has to offer this year and their squad as a whole. They're going to be a consensus top 10 team in the state. They're going to be ranked higher than that by some platforms. I think if I had to make one, they would for sure be top 10. It's going to be really interesting to see where they end up. Last year, I think going into it, their record was insane. They had taken down Montgomery times, and then we seen in that region championship where everybody gets healthy, they start to get rolling with Montgomery County. A lot of things can change. It was a game. Caden Reed hit one of the best shots probably in KHSAA history. I know you could say that's recency bias, but the shot he hit in that region championship with all those lights on him in that moment, and I believe it was Montgomery County hadn't beaten GRC in over 20-something years. So it just had so much emotional impact to it. So I think made the shot so special. Caden Reed's killing it right now down at Midland College. I've heard it's a JUCO in Texas. So big shout out to Caden Reed. I hope he's tuning in. I know it's all friendly love from Montez and the guys with the little rivalry there until it gets on the floor, however. Then it kind of changes a little bit. But let's welcome our next guest onto the show. He's been on the podcast before, Gavin Lightning, another really good friend of mine off the floor. So I had to hit him up and kind of say, hey, let's get you on tonight, man. He's on spring break, unlike Montez, so we don't have to feel like we're in a rush that if we talk too much. But Gavin recently decided he played through this summer with Caverna. But it was announced not too long ago that he'll be spending his senior season at Caverna. He'll be lacing up and playing for the Colonels. Caverna brings back a lot of really good talent. They've had a weird kind of offseason. It's been a little bumpy. There's been coaching changes. There has been players transferring, guys coming in, guys coming out. So it's been a little different down in Horse Cave. Like Coach May Stallworth said 2 weeks ago when he came on the show, it's the 5th region, man. It's the Wild West. Things happen every day. Things are always changing. So I'm excited to talk to Gavin about how he's enjoying it. He's back in the state of Kentucky playing high school basketball. So I know this is going to be a very meaningful season for him, his family, and everybody around him. But let's welcome Gavin onto the show. Gavin Lightning, man, what's up, dude? How have you been?
I'm good.
I've been good, man. I ain't seen you in a long time, Gavin. You've been telling me you've been in the lab. I know you've kind of been using your spring break to live in the gym. Gavin, I want to ask you this, man, because it's a question I want to ask you. You spent the last, I believe, 2 or 3 years out of the state of Kentucky. So it's been a little while since you've been playing in the KHSAA. Introduce some people to you. I want you to kind of tell some people about how your high school route has been, where you've played, because a lot of people still remember you from your early Bowling Green days when you were playing up as a middle schooler, when you were playing as a freshman. I know people still remember those Gavin Lightning days, but it's been a pretty eventful last 2 to 3 years for you. So kind of tell us about how that high school career has been so far, and what was something that kind of drawn you to come back to the state of Kentucky?
My bad.
I think I lost you for a second.
Yeah, you did.
You're good. But did you hear the question I asked?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
So after my freshman year, my sophomore year, I ended up transferring to Ohio. Ended up we ended up getting beat in the Elite Eight in the D1 team in Ohio, Division I. It's like 5A in Kentucky. And then last year, I spent my season at Victory Rock Prep, averaged double digits on the grind session, played teams like DME, West Oaks, Dream City Christian. And And then I just decided for my senior just to kind of come back home and feel that home state, feel to everything.
Gavin, talk to me a little bit about the summer you're coming off of. I know it was an eventful summer and kind of spring for you with Midwest Basketball Club. Picked up some offers. You got some more Division I looks from schools. I know Long Beach State decided to join in on your recruitment, throwing you an offer. Marshall did. I know Georgetown College recently reached out. I know there's multiple D1s, D2s showing you a lot of love, interest, coming by and watching you play in practice, but kind of tell me what was for you, how the spring was for you, how things kind of improved, things that you in your game. A lot of people don't like to say this, but kind of like I mentioned with you, it's not always just AAU when you're getting better. You look at a guy like Tyron Stokes who spent multiple months just working out and training. I know that's something you do a lot of. What have you kind of done to improve and impress and kind of change your game this summer, not just through AAU, but working out every day and training?
The biggest thing I think that's helped is during the summer, I ended up doing 2 days with Chris Moses, and it was with Terry Taylor and Pedro Bradshaw. So just going against those NBA and pro guys, 2-3 times a day, get a lot of live one-on-one stuff with them, and just kind of seeing how they work, and then take that stuff when me and my dad go work out, try to implement it. I think is the biggest thing. And then just playing a lot, playing with no kind of restraints, kind of just freedom and quote-unquote open gyms and things like that just allows you to be free, play without restraints, so you're not thinking, you're more so just doing than anything.
Gavin, I mentioned some college coaches coming in to watch you. I know recently Robert Morris was in the building. I know there's schools like Lincoln Memorial out of Tennessee who plans to come watch you all. I know Coach is kind of trying to plan to get Auburn to come in the building and watch you all with Coach Ian Borders, who's from Louisville. So, a lot of coaches and a lot of, scouts from around the state are coming to Caverna, coming to Horse Cave to watch you all, watch this new team. How does it feel to kind of be back in the Bluegrass State and seeing all these coaches kind of draw towards your guys, show you some attention? You were offered by some schools. Kind of tell me how that whole process has been moving back to Kentucky.
It's felt great. There's no different feeling than kind of being home, living at home, sleeping in your own bed every night, being around your family and parents. But I don't know. I think it just shows that the little bit of hard work that we've put in so far, people kind of already coming through, and it's just the beginning for sure. Especially once these first couple games happen, we'll have a lot more people definitely coming by to watch us. So,
we kind of talked about it. I kind of said it at the start when we were talking about the fifth region. It really is the Wild West, man. It going into this year, I think a lot of people is going to say the fifth region is down. It's not as talented as it was last year, years prior. But, when you kind of say that, it always feels like the region ends up being really, really good. It always it goes in with low expectations, and then we've got one of the best region tournaments we've ever seen. Last year was kind of different. A lot of people didn't expect to see Greene County go out early. Taylor County and Adair had to match up really early. So there was a lot of excuse me, I don't think they matched up early. I can't remember. It's been a little bit, Gavin. But it's always different, seeing how these region things kind of turn. So, we could be saying that the fifth region's weak, and then it ends up being a top 5 to 6 region in the state again. So I think that's something that we really are interested to see. But Gavin, kind of tell me about the fifth region from your perspective. Who's some of those other teams that's kind of standing out to you? Who are you hearing about the most? And who do you think has a chance to kind of be special and compete with you guys at Caverna?
One of the big teams always stands out to me is Adair County. I've kind of known my dad and Coach Breeze kind of grew up. I kind of grew up around them all the time. So definitely them. They're well coached. Dawson Gilbert's pretty good. Landon Blakely's pretty good. They'll be good. And then really kind of everybody. I haven't really got to see or play against most of those kids and most of those teams. So it's kind of just eye watching. Adair's the only team we got to play. But, I mean, from what I've heard, the region, like you said, it's either really good or really bad. And this year, I'm sure, especially when we play teams, we're going to be on everybody's bulletin board, circling on their schedule. So we'll get everybody's best shot. So all those games should be pretty good games.
It's been eventful, not just for the region, but for you guys. There's been head coaching changes where it went from Coach Terrence Miles to Coach Richard Gatewood, and now it's with Coach Josh Pittman. Coach Josh Pittman, to a lot of people, he's still unknown, kind of like you coming back to the States. This is kind of his tour coming back to the state of Kentucky, getting to coach here, be around everybody. So, it's a big season for Coach Josh as well. Coach Josh has coached at the D1 level for countless years. He was recently at Manhattan, and now he's coming back to the States to coach you all at Caverna. How has Coach Josh Pittman been recently? And, we talk about it a lot of times when college coaches come down to high school. The practices are tough. They want certain things. It's unlike a lot of players we've seen before. How have you kind of enjoyed being coached by Josh Pittman over the last month and a half? And what makes him different from other coaches you've had in the past?
Well, the thing I love about him is it didn't start on the court. It was the first day he got there. He implemented new things. It was, if you're not 10 minutes early to school, you're considered late. You got to be in the front of the class. He's coming through classes. He's checking. we always got to speak to everybody in the morning, try to talk to 3 new people a day. It's just things like that. Just hold us accountable that are kind of off the court things that he kind of, before we even got on the basketball court. On the court, he's big on talking. He's big on doing everything with urgency, with a purpose, and kind of getting everywhere around. So with us, with our group, it's more so the off the court stuff that he's worried about because he knows we can handle the on the court. He's just trying to make sure we're set for life more than anything. And he implemented that on the first day he got there before we even truly knew him as a coach.
Talk about this Caverna squad a little bit. It's pretty kind of senior heavy. Cortavian Maxey, Jalen Crane, Jason Graves joins the roster. He's originally from, but he was at Danville recently. Kind of tell me about these guys who kind of make this team special, and why are you guys kind of getting this love that you guys are going to be a top team in the state? Because, you don't just get it. Obviously there has to be reasons, not just being well coached, but having the guys. Who are some of these guys? Mention Jalen, things like that, who kind of make this roster so special.
So I think the main guy is Jalen. In my opinion, he's the best point guard in the state.
Yeah.
He's the best point guard in the state. He can guard 1 through 4. He shoots it, handles it, plays extremely hard, communicates, doesn't take any plays off. I just think he's the perfect point guard. And then, guys like Jason and Tay are more – they give you more versatility. Tay can play the 1 through the 4, can handle it, can really shoot it, which I don't think a lot of people know. Tay may be the best shooter on the team, can really shoot it well.
Yeah.
Then Jason's going to be so good for us. 6'8", 6'9", runs the floor. Then practice, he dunks everything now. Like there's no more layups. It's just through the chin. It's at the rim. And then guys like Kean and Tyson, the twins, they just bring something that nobody else can bring. It may not necessarily show up on a stat sheet every night, but you know that you played against those 2 guys when they're in the game.
Tell me a little bit, Gavin, because I know going into this season, I know there's going to be a lot of expectations for you all. Sadly and unfortunately, it's how things is. Sometimes gets a bad rap. It doesn't get a lot of respect around the state, not just for athletics, but kind of in general. So, kind of going into the season, there's definitely going to be a chip on your all shoulder, not just to prove Kentucky basketball fans wrong, but to prove kind of the general reception around the state of Kentucky. How does it feel for you to kind of be able to represent Caverna and kind of hopefully give them a new life? Kind of. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of re-spark the program and the school in general.
It feels good. It feels good. That's one of the reasons I went there. It was like, me and my family are big on going places and kind of leaving it better than you left it, making change kind of wherever you go. And I'm a big energy guy. I feel like I have good energy. I give good energy. People gravitate towards me. So with me being able to come in, I think I'll be able to change a lot of things and kind of get it moving back in like a positive direction. Because nobody at the school is bad people. It's a tight-knit community. Like as soon as I move there, like you've been there, like it's everybody supports the team. So I just think, this with us being that we should be pretty good. I think it will help definitely a lot, kind of change and kind of put the state on notice.
Gavin, we talked about the 5th Region's talent a little bit earlier. A team that's going to come into things looking interesting as well as Greene County. Eric James Jr., from everything we're hearing, he's going to be back. I know it's kind of been a little eventful for him this summer. Some people didn't know, was he going to go back home? Was he going to stay? A lot of things like that. Central Hardin's another team that looks very impressive with Coach Tavon Johnson. I know they're out to compete this year. But kind of talk about that Greene County rivalry. I know you've not got to play in it at all yet, but I know there's a lot of people talking on social media. I know that's one that everybody's excited to see. I'm not sure if you all play in the regular season, but if not, I know everybody's kind of expecting to see that matchup somewhere in the postseason. How are you kind of already enjoying seeing these rivalries, seeing these social media posts, see people build up this kind of level of competition? How excited does that get you, not just for December 1st playing in the first game of the season, but playing in the district and region, man?
It excites me because, a lot of these, it's more so, not to sound arrogant or anything, but it's more so the people know who I am. And I have I know Eric a little bit, but it's more so just me reading the stuff. And it's like, I've never played these teams before. To me, it's just a normal game. I'm just going to try to go out and win. But it will definitely be interesting. That's one of the reasons I came back is there's nothing like playing in a public school setting with student sections, packed games and fans. Because, prep, there may be 30 people at the game. And normally it's 15 coaches, college coaches, if anything. So just kind of being in that environment, it's kind of stuff I live for, stuff I like, the energy, that part of the game for sure.
Gavin, I know the recruiting process for you, like with everyone, it's had its ups and downs at times. I know right now, kind of getting these in here, I know there's a lot of coaches reaching out, which has to be good. I know it's not a decision that you're necessarily rushed to make. It's not something that you want to make maybe instantly. You're still taking your time, making sure it's the right spot with you being a senior. This is when it really matters. And I think a good thing, too, is when you look at the 2026 class, I think there's been 4 to 5, maybe 4 Division I commitments. So not a lot of guys aren't really making it a hurry. They're not making it a crazy priority. They're making sure they get on their visits. They see campuses. They make sure everything's right. So how do you take the recruiting process? What are some things that you kind of value over everything else? Montez talked earlier of culture and seeing the teams, like how they play, things like that. What are some things that really stand out in the recruiting process and what you're looking at, whether if it's a D1 school, D2 school, JUCO, what are the things that you're really looking at in your recruiting process?
My biggest thing is really just culture. A program that's kind of let me be me, but kind of be more so of a family, just a family first. From that first time I stepped in the door, I just wanted to feel tight and like a family, because things are going to get hard. It's the first time you're away from home. It's the first time you're facing some of these challenges. So some of that's going to be more so like your coach, like a father figure in a way. I think it's going to be like the biggest thing for me.
Gavin, the season's getting closer and closer. I know you guys got a tough schedule. I know Coach Josh Pittman's wanting to play everybody, and I like that about Coach. I don't know if he wanted me to spoil this yet. I know some people know. I think it's kind of out there, but with the high expectations and the talent you guys have, and kind of going into the season, you got, like you said, a top point guard, a top 3 or 4, and at the small forward position, power forward position, you're not the best. You add a guy like Jason, you guys have the size, shooters. You guys kind of got a little bit of everything. So coaches really want to go out there and play a little bit of everybody. I believe it's your guys' last game of the season. You all will play X. I know St. X, I believe, has dropped their schedule, so I think that's been out there. And I know that's a game a lot of people is going to be excited to see, because I think to most people, St. X is kind of the favorite. They're going to be postseason number 1. They were the best team in the state last year, even though they had an early loss into the state tournament. But how excited are you? I think I've said that a lot tonight, but you kind of getting back into the state. I know you've got some nerves. You're pretty excited. How excited are you, not just coming into the state and playing a weak schedule, playing multiple county schools, teams that aren't very good, but you guys are playing some of the top teams in the state of Kentucky. How excited are you to hit the road, go on those away games, play in those big crowds, and play up against other guys who's being recruited the same way as you and getting the same national respect as you?
I'm excited. I'm just ready. I'm just ready to go out and prove a lot this year. I know I think kind of these past years I've kind of taken stuff like that for granted. So, this year is just kind of like a proving year to me about all the work that I've put in, a lot of the unseen hours, and how much work me and the team and Coach Pittman, since he's been here, kind of put in, and just trying to get the job done.
Yeah. Well, Gavin, it's been fun talking to you, man. I don't want to hold you too long. It was good getting you back on the show. I know it's late. While I'm out in Missouri, I know it's the same time for us, so it's 10:30. It's kind of getting later. The Caverna Colonels fan base, I have to say, is phenomenal. There's so many people around it who are active on social media, promote you guys. I know you guys have been fundraising a lot lately, and I think it's going really well from what I've seen. I know your mom promotes it really heavy, Miss Dice, and she does a great job with it. So I want to let people know, if you're interested in helping out Caverna with some fundraising, getting things back on track, there's several ways on social media you can find a way. I'm sure it's linked to Gavin's accounts in some way. But Gavin, kind of leave us off with something to the Caverna fans. Like you said earlier, the fan base is really good, very supportive. So kind of leave something off to those fans into the show tonight, and excited to get this season started.
I appreciate everybody's going to come out and support this year, and always go Big C.
Gavin, I appreciate you coming on, man. I'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate you.
Of course. See you, man. I was Gavin Lining of Caverna joining the show tonight. We had 2 really good guests tonight, man. 2 small forwards, 2 wings, Gavin Lining and Montez Gay. It was good to get him on here and talk. Both being recruited pretty highly at the Division I level. Both have a lot of respect, not just in the state of Kentucky, but nationally. So it was good to get them on here and talk tonight and kind of recap. Oh, wow. Not just how their recruiting process is going, but how they're getting ready for the season, how things are looking in practice. Both teams have a lot of coaches coming consistently and checking them out and watching them, kind of giving them evals and kind of throwing offers and stuff like that. So similar situations for both of them, just a little bit of a distance there at Kentucky, 10th region, 5th region. Both regions should be very competitive this year, and it should be fun. Like I said, in the 5th region, it's getting some early talk that it's going to be a down year. It's been something that's been said in the past before that the fifth is going to be down, but they always find a way to be usually the best region outside of the seventh, sixth, 11th. They're always right there with those top three regions every year. So it's hard to really say that a region's having a down year early just because there's still so much talent. I think there's so many teams that go underrated. I mentioned Central Hardin with Cam Hogan and Coach Tavon Johnson. They're not getting a lot of respect by a lot of people around the state, but they always find a way to play hard. And then coach at North Hardin, I always say, the kind of team that gets talked about the most for being the most physical, strongest, plays the hardest, has the best culture is Warren Central out of the fourth region. What Coach Unseld, Coach Gum, and Coach Simmons does down there, Coach Buford, just kind of how they instill the weight room there, how they instill playing hard. I've always said in the fifth region, that is North Hardin, and I think there's a lot of teams that would have testaments to that. I know North Hardin beat Warren Central last year at North Hardin, and I know North Hardin got the better of Greene County last year in the region. So it's always interesting to see how these things pan out. It's hard to give too many early season predictions because it really goes how we say it's going to. Somebody always gets proved wrong. Somebody always steps up. Someone's going to get injured, which sucks to say, but there's going to be a lot of things that happen during the season that kind of shake things up. So I am excited to see how this season plays out. I think this season for KHSAA, and I'll have more episodes closer to time where we kind of give hot takes, opinions, things like that. But I think this season really is the most wide open it's ever been for a state champion, a favorite team. Obviously going into it, St. X is going to be kind of considered the favorite just with the talent they have in Jocelyn Mitchell, Jeremiah Jackson, Chief Cameron, Bryce Johnson. They just have so much talent. And they're so good in the way they play. Coach Klein is a phenomenal basketball coach. The things they run are very entertaining. And they're not just entertaining to watch, but they work. And I think that's a key word. They work. They're not just running good stuff. It actually works. So I think that's going to be really entertaining to see. Louisville Male is going to be good. Madison Central, North Laurel, Davis County, Grayson County, Frederick Douglass, Bryan Station. I've been thinking about it. I've been working on a top 25 list. It's going to be hard to drop. I've kind of got the 25 teams. Now it's just going through there and ranking them. There's not a lot of crazy sleepers or teams that people's talking about on there. More of it's kind of majority known schools. But while I do think the top talent in the state is really genuinely, there is 25 teams that have an argument that they could win the state tournament because they have things that make them so special. And I think that's what separates them. Everybody has a little bit of something that makes them special, whether if it's a coach, whether if it's the way they play, whether if it's deaf, whether if it's the crazy fan base that they just win at home. There's so many things that kind of lead into that. So I'm excited to see how this season goes. I'm really excited to get some more guests on. I know Athens McGillis just recently announced his commitment at the D2 level. Athens was a guy I was going to try to get on this weekend. Things just never really worked out. So hopefully we can get him on soon. I think we'll do another show Sunday. This one wasn't really broadcasted as the Joe Show. I just kind of did late night live, kind of got guys on here, introduced myself, streamed it off Next Up Recruits, our main accounts. So hopefully it was well. I don't think the internet was probably too amazing. I know I've cut out a little bit. I know my screen's probably been blurry. I know the internet here is not too amazing out here in Branson, Missouri. If you're tuning in, been checking out Link Academy's practices. Very good friends with Coach Chad Meyer, so always like to come out here and see what they've got going. And then checked out SEMO's practice. We're supposed to go check out Missouri, which would have been a really cool experience, but I know they're off for the week, so that's all right. But we'll be headed back home tomorrow to get ready for Kentucky high school basketball. 6 days away, and honestly, it's about to be 5 because it's about to be midnight. 5 days away from a official Kentucky high school basketball practices. So they're official. They're real. They're legit. These guys are going to get started. We're going to get some real basketball. It's not just conditioning now. And then a month from the 15th is going to be November 15th, where we get a lot of these scrimmages. We get a lot of these early preseason games. Each team gets 2 scrimmages a year. So these teams get to kind of play their preseason games that matter. A lot of people say preseason games don't matter, but those are kind of the games that set you in stone. They really are early takeaways. A lot of rankings are built off preseason games. A lot of things you get to see. I know a lot of coaches don't necessarily like to have the hardest preseason games. I know a lot of them want to win theirs, but Next Up Recruits, we have put together 2 jamborees. We did one in Taylor County that will be the 22nd, and then we did one alongside Coach Steve Q the 15th. It's Dunbar. There's a lot of good matchups. There's a lot of teams that want to play. Ballard, GRC, Tennessee. Wesley Christian out of Eastern Kentucky will be playing Bryan Station. So there's a lot of coaches who still want to have hard, big-time games during the fall, that kind of get them ready. There's some coaches that don't care winning losses. They care about getting better for March, and I have a lot of respect for that. But I do understand you want to go out there and win those preseason games. You want things to go smooth. So I can't get mad at that at all. But I'm excited to see how it goes, man. This next month is going to be really big because December 1st is obviously the first day. Still got a lot of time. We're not even – and it's not even the 10th of October yet. So there's still a lot of time before the season starts. But every day it gets closer. It really does. So excited to see how the season goes this year. Excited to see how things hype up. There's still going to be so much content to push out before then. We got to do top players. We got to do top teams in the regions. We got to do a lot of things. We got to have more guests on here. We have to do hot takes, which is going to be one that I'm excited for. I'm really excited for the hot takes episode. I've not really decided when I'm going to do it. It'll probably be in November, but I want to get some guys on here. I want to get my guys from Bluegrass Mixtapes on here. I want to get Lavelle Martin on here. I want to get Coach Steve Q on here from Dunbar. I want to get a lot of guys around the state on the show for that episode because I think everybody's going to have a hot take. Everybody's going to have something to say. Easier to do it with media, just because the high school coaches, they can't say everything, you know what I mean? So, but I'm excited for it. I want to appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight. We ended up going for 45 minutes. I know the view count was actually really, really, really good for the show being streamed this late tonight. I know there was well over 600, 700 people in here watching tonight for it being once again 11 o'clock. That's just really impressive, man. So none of this is possible without you guys and the support you all show me. Once again, sorry for kind of the iffy Wi-Fi. I know it wasn't as good as the show as usual, but big thanks to our guests, Montez, Gay, and Gavin Lightning for coming onto the show. They were amazing. It was kind of short notice, short planned, but we made it happen. Appreciate everybody tuning on to the show. If you're still on vacations, have a great vacation. Enjoy your spring break. Be safe traveling back home. And if you're at home, like a lot of people, man, just keep enjoying it, And if you got school tomorrow, like Montez Gay, man, get some things done. But I appreciate everybody tuning into the show tonight. We'll be going again more than likely Sunday night. So tune back